music copyright is very hard to fight, as opposed to like you throw a highlight up there, like, come on, man, it's fair use.
Mhm.
Come on. It's a 10-second highlight of Guy Santos throwing it out of bounds. Nobody is losing anything on that. All right, let's get to it. Oh. All right, we are live. We are live right now on playback. We are also live on YouTube, officially live on YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube, you can call in live on playback. Link in the chat, pinned. And let's get to it, Tommy. Let's get to it. The Warriors season. We are here. But give me a second. I gotta find something before we get there. Oh no. All right, guys. Presented by Prize Picks. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 and you use the code Lightyears. Welcome one and all to the one and only season-ending edition of Lightyears. You know, if there was ever a time for a Surfside, tonight is the night.
I ran out after the second quarter. So
is that kind of game for you?
That was the 3 prayer threes did it for me at the end of the first half.
How much? I'm gonna be honest with you. I had hopium, but I thought they were gonna lose coming into this game. But that's the thing about being a fan. You can rationally say, it's probably over. Even if they win, Steph's coming back. Like, what are the odds this is going to turn into something? The season's over. But none of that matters. You have the ability to turn it off in your brain while you're watching it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it played out. The Warriors have officially been eliminated. I just want to say this before we kind of open this up to everyone. This is one of the weirder feelings of a Warriors season ending of the last 10 years for me, because I'm not angry in the way I'm traditionally angry. I'm just kind of sad. I'm sad because I do not think the run they went on to end the season was fake. I think that 24-8 run was real. I think what we saw the entire way was real. I think Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond with role players playing off them, you really had something there. I think Jimmy getting hurt sucked. He came back. He had a couple of good games, but he's never quite the same player he was beforehand. And then I think Steph, the exhaustion got to him. The hammy got pulled. I think part of that was probably a function of him having to do too much to get them to that point, and we'll talk about that later. But mostly just kind of sad because I wanted to see what kind of run they could put together. And the reality is physical exhaustion beat them. Shout out to the Wolves. Good team. I hope they go to the finals, to be honest with you. I kind of like them. But I'm not walking away from this feeling like they beat the Warriors as much as physical exhaustion beat the Warriors.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It feels like we were robbed of something. You know, like we got to see, obviously, the last couple months of the season were really fun. It felt like Warriors basketball again. Mm-hmm. And then game 82 of the regular season, the play-in game, and then game 1 of Houston, it felt like, all right, they're not the most talented team, but they have something here, especially when Jimmy kind of took it to that next level. And then Jimmy gets torpedoed by Amen, whatever his name is. And dude, I
don't even care.
I liked him before that series. He's made an enemy out of me forever. The only guy who I hate more on that Rockets team now is Dillon Brooks than Amen Thompson. Just an annoying player. But that's besides the point.
Are you I don't want to sidebar too much on this right now because you're going off, but are you more annoyed by him as a player, or are you more annoyed that he is like the hipster NBA Twitterati's like crush of the month?
I mean, he was one of my like basketball crushes for like a lot of the year pre-draft, all that stuff. But just like the way that like he essentially, and it wasn't fully intentional, but he was being reckless when he injured Jimmy, and the way he just acted the rest of the series, like he was some tough guy. It's like, dude, you guys would have been out of here in 5 games if you don't injure Jimmy. And playoffs is always a war of attrition, but it just felt like they got to see their real healthy team playing at like full go for what 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. I think starting with kind of that Lakers or that Memphis game in Memphis late in the regular season. It feels like that's when like
Yeah.
Steph really turned it up, goes for 50, whatever. Jimmy had a great game that night. They go and win in LA, and then they smoke Denver back at home on the second end of a back-to-back. And they played really well. Even though they lost some games, they lost that San Antonio game, but I think that was more of just a factor of exhaustion towards the end of the season. They had been pushing for so long, but it felt like there was something real here. And then, it goes 7 against Houston for a lot of reasons. Houston's a very physical team. They made it a tough series, but also Steph had to empty the tank earlier than he wanted, and Jimmy was never himself again after that fall. He needed to be better tonight. He needed to be better in game 4, but he didn't have any explosion left, and he's older now. So, like, there's not as much reserves to pull from. So it was a confluence of factors. And again, I just feel robbed. Like, they looked so good in that. It felt like they really figured something out in game 7 against Houston, and they looked so good those first 18 minutes against Minnesota, and really all of game 1. But then it just fell apart. They just didn't have enough at the end of the day. And I can't get mad at the guys that were on the floor tonight too much. Everybody was overtasked. Everybody was asked to do too much. All my ire is aimed at the front office just for being irresponsible, not only this season, but for the past 6 seasons. Draymond looks exhausted tonight, not because of what you put on him this season, but because you've been asking him to play the 5 almost full time for the past 6 seasons. And now he might be fucking washed. And that is on you as a front office. That is not on him. That is on you asking a 6'6" undersized center to place or power forward to play center for the past 6 seasons. And yeah, he looks worn down now. He looks slower. He's not contesting shots at the rim as well. He's not rebounding as well. But it's a front office function. This is not a function of the guys on the roster. It is the front office's fault.
Yeah, it is. I mean, once Steph went down, you saw the reality of this roster.
Yeah.
I never want to hear another comment about Steph being carried by anyone.
He's the best player I've ever seen. He is. That is a terrible product they put out for the last 4 games. And they should have won game 3. They threw that one away, and this would be a different series if they hadn't. But at the end of the day, they had to throw the whole playbook at the Wolves in game 3, and then there was no adjustments left. They just didn't have enough talent. And the fact that they probably would have won this series with Steph, you can't say for sure, but it felt like they would have. It's just crazy how impactful he still is at 37 years old.
No, it is. It's like I don't think there's anyone else on earth who could make this roster work.
Maybe Jokic.
I think Jokic is amazing. I don't think he can make this roster work. I think I think Giannis is great. I think there's a lot of great players in this league. I think uniquely, I just don't know anyone else who could play with this little shooting around them, who can make these type of players work the way they do. I mean, it's interesting. Like, it's always kind of been Steph in defense, but you see how integral Steph is to the defense when he doesn't play, because now the Wolves have more confidence. They have more energy. They're not, scared shitless chasing him around the entire time. All of a sudden, Julius Randle's hitting shots. Yeah. Julius Randle never hit shots against the Warriors when Steph played. And it's not because Steph's closing him out, but it's because Steph takes energy out of you, takes mental energy out of you. It's just, I know the pod gets a reputation for just like waxing poetic about stuff, but I don't think we do enough. I really don't. I don't think enough credit goes to just how many things he does to make a basketball team go. And sometimes it's most noticed when you get to these situations where he's not on the floor. Like I said, I just, Twitter to me has been unusable for a few weeks because I see people raging about rotation choices. I'm just like, what are we doing? It's like, why do we sign Jimmy Butler? I'm like, bro, sign Jimmy because he makes Steph better and because the combination works, not because Jimmy's going to be able to win rounds without Steph.
And especially with his team, especially with the team without shooting, Jimmy needs the shooting to really carry a team like he did Miami. They didn't have it, and he's not what he was 2, 3, 4 years ago. He's still a great player.
Broken ass.
Yeah, exactly. and I don't want to make too many excuses for the guy, but that's a thing. And also, he's not the same player he was 5 years ago when he was 30 years old and smack dab in the middle of his prime. But you put him in the right environment, he's still an incredibly effective player. They were dead in the water before that trade. Dead in the water. and he saved the season for all intents and purposes, not just from the fact that he's a much better player than Andrew Wiggins, but from the fact that Steph and Dre believed again. Like they had faith in like that they could go do something again. And I really think they would have if they hadn't gotten injured.
If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe right now. We really appreciate it if you support us. Yeah, I mean, like my raw feelings in this exact moment, like we're just saying the same thing over and over again, which is just disappointment. Not disappointment the way they lost, disappointment that we didn't get to see the product that they put together and put a like a really good 2-month run with on the floor at the end. If the Wolves beat them with Steph and Jimmy on the floor, I would, I'd probably be angry to be like, no matter how they lose, I'm going to be disappointed. There's no way around it. But my disappointment would be more about like, they didn't have enough. I can't believe, or they need to go get a center or whatever the reason is, right? This I just felt like robbed. I don't know. We're gonna have to wait till next year now to see it. And Steph's 37 years old. This series really stamped how I feel, which is just like I think there's a lot of people who go with the you are too loyal, too like, time moves. It's time for the franchise to move on. And my feeling, watch this, is like, are you out of your mind?
What are they moving?
They're never going to have a player this good. They're not the Lakers. They're not going to randomly have the league rig a trade to get the best player on earth, to their franchise type of thing. Like this is your Michael Jordan if you're a Warriors fan. This is the guy who's getting the statue out front, albeit it'll be a little shorter than the Lacob statue. But, the people will know it's the largest statue. And it's like one of those things where it's just like, I hate to see one of the final years. And it is going to be one of the final years, whether it's the final 3 years, 5 years. 5 would be insane, to be fair. But like, if it's one of the final, the final 2 to 3 years, or it is the final year, like we'll never know. History won't tell us for a while. It just sucks. It sucks for it to end on what was an exhaustion injury. Exhaustion, a function of a bad roster and having to chase it for 30 games and having to, and even then they might have got away with it if Amen Thompson doesn't undercut Draymond. They're sorry, Jimmy, my bad. And then, that series turns into a 7-gamer when it could have been a 5-gamer. Like all these things, like
they just compounded.
Yeah, it's like I could blame the front office, but I could also be like, I don't know, man. Would we be blaming the front office if that freak injury didn't happen to Jimmy? Probably not yet.
Yeah, definitely not yet.
So it's just like it's disappointment at its core. Because you just don't know how many more chances you have with this guy who will. It's just not happening. There will never be another guy like this in your franchise's history. I'm sorry, there just won't. I've lived in the Bay Area for a very long time, like basically my whole life. Niners pretty much run this region, and all people talk about is Joe Montana still.
Yeah.
And Steve Young and Jerry Rice. It's been 30 years, man. 30 years. The Giants, they won titles, but all anyone talks about is Barry Bonds.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 20 plus years. Like the idea that you're going to find another guy who it's not just the production, it's the emotional feeling, it's the style, it's the flair, it's going through the entire ride. 16 years and running right now. Like you will not get that replicated. And so, I'm not retiring Steph today because I think he's still got a little more in the tank, but it sucks because like we're definitely closer to the end than the beginning. And yeah, it sucks that they lost without him on the floor. I don't know what else you want to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's unquestionable that we're closer to the end than the beginning, obviously. And yeah, it just feels like the control, like you can never control the outcome as a fan. but you
Sure.
at least want to have your best product on the floor. And I think it is smart to point out, the MJ comparison just in terms of what he means to the franchise. You know how many Eastern Conference Finals the Chicago Bulls have made since Michael Jordan retired in 1998? One. In 2011, they have won one game in the Eastern Conference Finals since then. One. And so all
Shout out
this
Derrick Rose.
shout out D Rose. And all this hemming and hawing about what about the future? Well, you can't trade this kid because of that. And well, we got to be okay after Steph. You can't trade too many future picks. Bullshit. You are never, ever finding a player as good as him again. Not in the draft, that's for sure. Maybe you look out in free agency. Maybe, you have cap space the right year. You've built something
Or maybe
good.
you luck out in the draft when you're not looking, because the
Right.
reality is the only players who are comparable to Steph to their franchise are a Serbian guy who got picked over a Taco Bell commercial,
Yeah.
and like Giannis, who is a mid first round pick of like, oh, we like his tools,
Yeah. And
it's not
SGA
like their
might be on
first
the
round pick.
way. SGA
Sure.
might be on the way, but he was picked by a different team. The Thunder traded for him in the Paul George trade.
Hmm.
Ant's really the only guy in the current NBA who was, who might be a super, and he kind of is a superstar. He's
He's
definitely reaching
definitely
that.
a superstar,
I
but
mean,
I get what you're getting at.
he was so impressive tonight. Just the way he saw that they were going to double him early, and he said, "Okay, I'll just play make all night. I'll give my guys open shots." And credit to the Wolves, they made a ton of them. It felt like every time they needed to make a three, they did. And part of that is like you said, they were so comfortable, and they didn't have to chase Steph. They weren't tired because they weren't chasing Steph on the other end. But he's the only guy where it was like, yeah, this is the next guy coming out of high school. And I guess Wemby will probably be there too. But you can never really predict it. Like it's hardly ever that guy becomes the guy. Like even Durant, he goes number 2 in that draft because people thought Odin was going to be better. Like it's so unpredictable. So just like basing all this hope on like prospects, it feels so stupid. It almost like feels short-sighted in a way. Like you're so concerned about, we have to have this next era ready that you're not thinking about like the fact that you're never finding another guy like Steph. You just aren't, man. You aren't.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of feel like we should just go with the goons and just like I want to
Yeah.
let everyone sound off tonight. The
Yeah.
Warriors got eliminated. For everyone listening to this, do not worry. The Miles Turner trade episode's coming at some point during the
Oh yeah.
offseason. Like I have a
Kobe
lot of
White.
thoughts. The most actually, like if I was to say one optimistic thing about the Warriors, it's that they are in a position that they can absolutely be in the mix next season. And that makes the offseason interesting, more interesting than last offseason.
Mhm.
So I'm from a pod perspective, like we definitely have stuff we can get into going forward, but I want tonight to be kind of more about letting people sound off, get their emotions off. The season's over. Can we just talk about it? It felt like it was fucking 4 seasons, right?
Oh
Like
my God.
the hot start, the D'Anthony Melton era. I think he played 6 games as a Warrior, but he's a
Yeah.
legend as far as I'm
Yeah,
concerned.
he is.
Um, the great suck. the next like 20 games were some of the worst basketball, and not even like worse in terms of bad product, because like the Kai Bowman year was a worse product,
Yeah.
obviously. But like just in terms of like the slow fall, like it was a slow moving car crash, right?
Mhm.
And then you get Jimmy, and the Jimmy ride was awesome, just a lot of fun. I still believe the basketball they played was real that entire span. And then of course you get to the playoffs, you get some good moments, but injuries and bodies give out, and it's just what a long season, man. Honestly, I could use a vacation.
I mean, God, I can't go there yet, man. I was hoping until the last. I was still locked in when Moody was making threes at the end, getting and ones. Pods was somehow trying to claw him back. I'm not there
Tommy's
yet.
texting me. I got a text at 3:21 a.m. He's like, just grinded tape. I figured it out. Pods needs to reject the screen and take his man. Go figure.
It was me and Rosillo in the Manhattan Beach bunker grinding tape at 3:20 a.m. No, I mean
Nothing
I'm
else.
not fully there yet, but no, it felt like. I mean, I just feel stressed thinking about it. It really felt like so many seasons. There was even that little stretch where it was like Kuminga starting over Draymond. Draymond's going to play a bench role now,
I
and
know, right?
Kuminga's the
The
next
whole
era.
it's time. It's time to see if he can do it.
Yeah, I mean,
The
it,
Quentin post run. That was fun.
yeah, but no, I think it is smart to point out like they are much better positioned to do something this summer. They don't need the major move. If the right major move pops up, sure, go chase it. They have the contracts to do it. But it feels like, like you said, a Miles Turner, a Kobe White, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is the type of move that could vault them into like that tier 1 contender level, to where you're not having to stress about the play-in next season, which has just been, I don't want to stress over the play-in again. If I have one wish for next season,
I mean,
I don't want to stress over the play-in.
they're probably still alive if they're not in the play-in. And you could say if they didn't lose that game to the Clippers, they would have made it, but like they had to go 23-7 to even get to that moment. So like a lot of this was about just, like, don't have to be in a dead sprint of playing playoff basketball for 2 months before the playoffs start, that sort of thing. So
Absolutely. And I think the last thing, and this is something I thought about today, and it's kind of connected to what we're talking about, but I think what we really haven't discussed at all with the Steph hamstring is he also played this summer in the Olympics. He played over the summer for a month and a half. And so it's not only the push at the end of the season, it's not only the fact that the roster sucked for as long as it did and he had to really expend all that energy. He also played in the summer. And so that's where I can really direct some ire towards the front office. And we'll get there, I'm sure, with some of the goons. But, you knew that Steph was going to be playing in the Olympics this summer. So you had to do a little bit more, man. He's been on an 11-month run here, and it's not the worst thing that he gets some rest. It really isn't. And he got an extra week and a half over anybody else on the team.
Yeah. Guys, before we move it forward, I just want to remind you, springtime is here. And the baseball and playoff push is here. So now's the time to join Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players to your Prize Picks lineup. On Prize Picks, you can mix and match player projections from different sports, combine your favorite baseball players with players from basketball, hockey, esports, tennis, golf, French Open coming up, my man. Who you got? Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this summer. Just make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports takes into real money this offseason. Guys, download the app today. Use the code LIGHTYEARS and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5. That's code LIGHTYEARS. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5. Prize Picks, run your game.
Light Years Podcast, we are also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. One of our new best friends. It should be your best friend too if you're using Prize Picks, because it's our new favorite app. Started by two lifelong sports fans and Ivy League grads, they make parlay research smarter, faster, and data-driven. The Hall of Fame app gives you access to advanced stats, historical data, and powerful tools to help you bet smarter. The app is built for everyday sports fans, so it's easy and intuitive to use. You'll get an idea of your parlay's chances to hit and identify weak legs so you can weed them out before the game takes place. Use it again tonight for my Prize Picks, and it actually gave me the Ant more on assists. So I'm locked in with Hall of Fame now. Anytime I'm gonna place a Prize Picks bet for the rest of the playoffs, for baseball season, whatever else, they've been helping me out so far. Because Hall of Fame also isn't just about the parlays. It's built for player props, game lines, and totals, and more, giving you the tools to break down trends, spot value, and make smarter bets across every major market. So for a limited time only, our listeners get a 7-day free trial, but they also get 50% off their first month when they use the code LIGHTYEARS at checkout. So download the HOF app today on iOS or Android, enter code LIGHTYEARS, and you're all set.
All right, let's get to it. We got a lot of people here, and I want everyone to get to be able to sound off. So we're going to start with guy Alex. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, hop over to playback, request to speak, bring you up here. Alex, what's up,
bro? I mean, sad. Just sad, like you said, disappointed. Few things that I mean, there's a lot of things I could talk about, but first thing is Steph won't say it, but they don't want to see us next year. So I do think that this team has pieces, and Steph and Jimmy showed that they can get it done in the last half of the season. But the real main thing I would say, and you guys can probably talk about this more after I hop off, but injuries this playoffs, like how many star players went down,
Man.
And how much of that do you think that was due to like the NBA allowing such a massively physical first round, especially because like Steph, Jimmy, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, obviously super sad that that happened. Whether you hate the Celtics or not, but just like so many star players, like Evan Mobley was out and Jared Allen, I think he was out for a game, but
Darius Garland.
just Darius Garland, like so many star players on top teams, like going down. And maybe it was just the nature of the season, but like even in the East, those teams didn't have to push at the end like the teams in the West did. And it's like,
Well,
does the NBA make a change? Because I feel like it ruined the product, honestly.
I have two thoughts on that. One, the East-West thing is it. Every year I get to a point where I'm just like, come on, man. The East is going to get worse next year because the Tatum injury is going to just – the Celtics won't be bad without him, but they're not going to be special either. They're going to just – like because it's the East, they might win 50 games with their roster without him.
Yeah.
So,
And if
and
Giannis
honestly,
gets traded, he's going
yeah,
west.
but and if Giannis gets traded, the odds are he ends up west. It's just going to be such like Cleveland, who I always thought were kind of, I don't call them frauds, but like, the win total is inflated by a lot of Charlotte and Atlanta, right? So they got an easy path to literally just stay healthy and you'll win the East next year type of thing. That always annoys me. But in terms of your question with the physicality, I actually didn't mind it. What I have a problem with is how different the regular season and playoff product is. I think it's bad for the league on every level. It's bad for the league that we treat the regular season as basically open run, like 70 out of like there's a couple good games in the regular season, but most of it's like bullshit, right? And then you get to the playoffs, it's like, all right, it's gonna be officiated differently, everything's different. It's not basketball, it's not fun. It's also just not good for a league if the product isn't the same the whole way through. So I don't have a problem with the officiating allowing physicality. It just needs to be consistent the entire way through. Allow teams to learn how to play through it, build as if that's the style of play. Because this idea that we're going to change the product when the playoffs come is dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's also why we see like a guy like SGA struggle so much more when it comes to playoffs because a lot of his game is based off of like drawing kind of like weak contact fouls and like he gets to create a lot of space during the regular season because guys are so scared that they're going to get those foul calls on him, and it inherently changes the product and it changes who the best players are, But I actually don't think it's the physicality necessarily that's the issue with these injuries. I think it's during the regular season. Teams have to cover so much ground and so much space actually because of the lack of physicality that's allowed because you can't touch anybody. You have to play defense so non-physical that everything is just based on foot speed and covering ground. What that leads to is wear and tear injuries like a hamstring, like an Achilles. These are things that accumulate by by having all those miles and by playing at such a breakneck pace over a 6-month season that your body eventually wears down. When the game was much more physical in the paint, or at least it was played in a smaller condensed area, you didn't see these ligament injuries. You didn't see these tendon injuries. They weren't as prevalent because teams weren't covering as much ground and the pace wasn't as fast.
Can I give you a counter to that?
Sure.
I don't think physicality is leading to less space being covered.
Oh, man. Really?
Every team's still trying to spread the floor.
Yeah.
Every defender still has to cover not just to the 3-point line, but to 30 feet out. So I actually think the physicality is, I do agree with you. The physicality leads to less of the soft tissue injuries, which is your overall point here. But like, I don't think teams are going to just stop emphasizing spacing with more physicality.
No,
and they're not going
not.
to in general. So I think some of it is just like, honestly, you probably just need to move to a smaller schedule. Like there's not really another way around it. You just need to be honest with the fact that Steph runs 3.5 miles in a game while he's getting assaulted. Michael Jordan in his prime, probably half of that because teams didn't really understand the value of spacing in general. So
Well, I think a more physical game, you're going to have less possessions by nature because it's going to be harder to score. Like these games are lower possession games, so you're doing less running. But yeah, it's so much of a different game when you reach the playoffs, and I kind of enjoy this a little bit more because it just feels like teams actually have to come up with creative stuff to beat defenses as opposed to like they can just walk into open space all night and just kind of make open jump shots. But yeah, I mean, obviously, allowing more physicality won't stop teams from spacing, but I think they kind of go hand in hand. I just think with the amount of ground that teams have to cover now defensively, you can't let them also not be physical. You have to give some advantage to the defense in the regular season because right now they have absolutely none.
Yeah. Alex, appreciate you, brother. I guess my bigger thing, I didn't say this the way I want, as clear as I want to. I don't view the two as hand in hand issues. I think the physicality thing is just you need to lock in on a consistent way you're officiating because it's stupid for a sport to be like in the regular season it's touch fouls, in the regular season or in the playoffs it's prison ball. Like that's not right, you know. Like there's always going to be a little more allowed in the playoffs, mostly because you have better players who understand how to manipulate the rules better.
Mhm.
But like you kind of have to have a singular rule interpretation all year. I think the injury issue, because you're seeing these injuries in the playoffs. Jason Tatum's injury was probably an accumulation one, but like they were playing a more physical, slower pace in the playoffs as Achilles went out.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think it's 1-on-1. I think the reality is everyone realizes the value of spacing now. They cut way more. They move way more. Every player has more miles on them in every game, with or without physicality. So you probably need a secondary, like, just be realistic. Less games. I mean, I'm not the first person to say it. I'm not like the 50th person to say it. Probably need to move to a model where players are not playing back to backs, where maybe you're playing 2 to 3 times a week instead of 4 times a week. Like, I don't know, all the things that you would expect in a game that's got more movement in it now than it did 30 years ago.
Yeah, or I mean, it's either less games or you lengthen the seat, like you start the season earlier or end it later.
12-month season.
Yeah, which is just never going to happen. And then, I mean, I know like you should be punished a little bit for going to a game 7 in terms of rest factor, but you probably shouldn't be starting your next series less than 48 hours later. Like you just shouldn't. That's a huge reason why Steph got injured. And obviously, I'm going to be like more particular to that because it affected the Warriors. But at the same time, like it's just not enough rest, especially coming up the series they came off of. Fantastic profile picture. The GOAT.
Appreciate it. What's up, guys?
So D-Long.
Surfside's deep, kind of just expected the inevitable on that one, to be honest. But I think Sam said it perfectly. Like, I'm more so just disappointed than mad. I mean, that just sucked. The last 4 games sucked. After game 3, it kind of just felt like that was the chance. And when they couldn't get it done, I don't know. It just felt over. I agree with Tommy on the Jimmy piece. Like every time I kind of just want him to insert himself more, I have to remind myself that this dude broke his ass 2 weeks ago. And you just like, I don't even think he's close to 75% more, so like 60 or something like that. But I don't know. The Timberwolves, they're cool. I'm not even that impressed with them. I'm more so impressed with Julius Randle. I think if they get OKC in the next round, I think he could be like super difficult for them, but we'll see. I hope. Like,
I think he's going to shoot 22% against them.
You might be right,
and that'll make me much more frustrated. But
yeah, I hope like 65% of the roster is different next year. But you guys think Kuminga got his trade value up a little bit?
Oh yeah,
these
big
last
time.
2 games,
big time.
30
mils back on the table.
I'm skeptical.
I don't know if it happened. I'm not saying it'll happen now, but I think it was entirely off the table for anybody before the last 3 games. I think now teams can fool themselves into thinking, yeah, we'll give that guy 25 to 30 mil.
I definitely agree with you there. I agree with everyone who is like, this thing was going into the toilet. Now it's like, we'll see. I don't know. My money's on a team like Chicago or Washington.
Really?
Yeah.
Bring me Kobe.
You won't get Kobe. I'm sorry. I'm just, there's this like assumption that because he scores points, other teams are going to like fawn over that. And most of these teams are run by the same type of dorks who, see the same things that like, oh, he doesn't rebound, he doesn't defend, he doesn't do this, he didn't do that. I don't know. Someone's going to bet on him. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just not as convinced. I'm not as convinced, and we'll see. Maybe my tune changes in a month. Maybe someone sends me a text which gets me super fucking optimistic, and next thing you know, I'm just on here. It's like, you're gonna get Giannis. Hell yeah,
Same sources.
But I don't know. That's where I'm at right now. I think on surface level, yeah. Obviously, his trade value is better today than it was pre-series. Like, no denying that.
Yeah.
You don't see any like Brooklyn, Utah piece for Kuminga?
Utah could have had him last year, and they're like, nah.
They don't want him. I could see Brooklyn. Brooklyn has the cap space, though, so that's not great for the Warriors. I mean, I don't know, man. Less and less dumb contracts get handed out, but there's still a lot of size queens out there. There just are. Like, there's a lot of guys who are going to fawn over the size, the speed, the athleticism. And look, he definitely showed me some things over the last 3 games. Like, I'm definitely more optimistic about his future. He scored against a playoff level defense pretty efficiently. There's a lot of stuff to iron out. He's still incredibly raw. But if you're a team who's early in their rebuild cycle, you can convince yourself you can make it work. You can tell yourself that all the stuff coming out of, kind of all the whispers coming out of, from the back room of the Warriors camp, like they don't really want to develop him. Steve's not good with young guys. His agent isn't shy about saying that. And that's like making the rounds that his agent is not shy about talking about how the Warriors have kind of treated him. And I don't think all of that is entirely unfair. I think they could have developed him better. But at the same time, he didn't do what the Warriors wanted him to do. And nobody plays like the Warriors. So teams can convince themselves it'll look better in a more simplified system.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't really want to get into it too aggressively right now, but now it's like truly a mystery. And I really don't know how it's going to land in the offseason.
Yeah.
Like, my May 14th post-series take is I would be reserved with thinking something crazy is going to happen on that front. I don't know. That opinion may change in a couple of weeks. We'll see. Yeah. Appreciate you, man. I want to play Steve real quick before we get to the next caller. This is Steve a minute ago.
I love our guys. Like I said, we this was a hell of a run for us, considering where we were at the trade deadline. Jimmy changed our season, flipped everything for us, gave us a chance. We became one of the best teams in the league. And obviously, you get to the final 8 in the NBA, you're one of the best teams. And we had a shot, but, things didn't go our way. But like I said, Minnesota deserves the credit. They were the better team.
With that said, how do you feel about the future? And I'm talking more just next season. With Jimmy now here and what you guys can maybe, build on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. We got, obviously, Jimmy and Dre and Steph all coming back. Our young players performed really well this year. There's a lot to look forward to. I love our guy.
He's fucking pissed. I've watched enough Steve Kerr. But, I mean, like, come on, man. Like, sometimes I don't ever give enough grace to, like, you just go through such an emotionally competitive moment, and then you have to go on the podium and like tap dance or like, yeah, everything's good,
Yeah, you got to be politically correct and like give these very like measured answers. That's the last place he wants to be right now. Like he just, I didn't want to talk to anybody after I lost the game for like an hour. Don't talk to me about anything. Get the fuck out of my face.
He said it in another clip that I'm not going to play right now, but whatever you and I were saying about disappointment with the injuries, he's feeling 100 times more. They had something. They wanted to see it through. They didn't get beat the way that they wanted to, I think there's a lot of, you lose on the floor with Steph and Jimmy, everyone's healthy. Then you just kind of like, you're replaying like, what if we did this differently? But ultimately, you got beat. Losing this way just sucks because it's exhaustion. I don't know. There's not much else. There's not much else to say. The quote right here is, I don't want to take anything away from Minnesota. No sense in me talking about Steph. He's trying to be polite. He also said like, absolutely, like
we had a shot.
Thinking about like what could have been different if Steph was healthy. this is reality. This is reality. This is why it stings right now.
Yeah, I this one's gonna sting. I think maybe more than others in a way. Like this is the. I mean, we've had seasons have ended because of injuries, like Steph, MCL in 2016, KD and Clay in 2019. This is the first season that's ended in the playoffs where Steph didn't get to play in the final game. This is the first time out of the entire run. So, and he is obviously the most integral to everything that happens. That goes without being said. So it's actually a new experience for them, which never happens. You know what I mean? This is a new experience for them in the playoffs. 16 years in, it's a new experience. So it's just weird. It's bizarre. I don't even know how to compartmentalize it or process it yet.
Yeah, it's one thing for players to be hobbled the way Jimmy is, and we can talk about that. And I don't think he was fully healthy, and we all know he wasn't fully healthy because he missed games. It's another to just outright not be on the floor. It's just not the same thing, Roddy, what's up, man?
Pain and agony,
Yeah,
fair enough.
No, it really was a Surfside night. I mean, maybe the pack of Surfsides, but nonetheless, I was starting to get visions too that we might be able to extend the series, and then facing New York in the finals would have been the dream, because that's kind of where Steph's career got started. It'd be nice to see him win a final chip there, but you know what? God. God.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. There's not much analysis to it. It really did feel, yeah. I don't even know what tangent to start on, because I can
I
throw
feel it,
blame.
man.
I can throw blame a million ways, but at the end of the day, what team is gonna win a series without their best player? And,
Yeah.
None of them.
And you know what?
And some are worse than others without it. Some teams have a little more ability to fight a little more, but the Warriors, hey man, we've been saying it for years. Everyone's Steph merchant around here.
Yeah, and they should have got game 3. They had game 3, and that's the one that stings. They threw the kitchen sink at game 3, and they didn't get it. That's the one you had to get because you weren't gonna be able to make adjustments after that. You just weren't. You didn't have enough talent to.
Yeah. And
Shout out Pods though.
And I wonder if we're gonna get into the sweepstakes for some of these, big contracts that are might be moving around this summer. I know we're probably not wanting to start the conversation about summer and whatnot, because we've got a whole lot more actual basketball to go through by then. But I don't know. I'm just hoping. I'm hoping that we don't try to stir the pot too early. But that's never really been a problem. Actually, sort of to our detriment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough, and I think Cam Johnson would still be a great acquisition. I know we're already talking about trades, but yeah, this is tough. And you know what? I honestly think they did everything right too. Besides Jimmy didn't really show up, but I can't really blame them because they had literally 3 defensive player of the year candidates on him. Alternating on him. And so not much you can do besides get more shooting in the off season and a little more size.
Yep.
Yeah, it sucks. Sucks to go this way because it was such you could start to see the path. If Steph was here, you could have seen the path to the 5th chip. And it's just pain. It's just pain.
Appreciate you, man. Yeah.
Have a good night, y'all.
Yeah, you too, man. It was opening up nicely. That's the shitty part. Boston's already gone. Cleveland's gone.
That's how it always goes, man.
OKC and Denver beating the shit out of each other. Yeah, if you could have got through this series in 5 or 6, you're feeling really good about those Western Conference Finals. All things considered.
I mean, the 2022 season where the Warriors won, and they shouldn't have won, but they did. They deserve all the credit for it. They started 18-2.
Yeah.
They started 28-6. It's really hard to make a deep run when you have to play that hard down the stretch. And they made me believe But to see it end like this, like I wasn't shocked. This was like the number one way I thought the risk was for this team. So sucks. I'm gonna play Steve here real quick one more time.
When you look back at this series at the playoffs, the way you guys played to get out of Houston, the way Steph and you guys were playing that game one right before you got hurt, will you wonder what if? Like, what did you think? How far this team could go? The potential.
Yes, the next few days. You know, I mean, I don't even have to think. Whatever. I know we had a shot. I know we could have gone the distance. Maybe we wouldn't have, but it doesn't matter. Again, everything in the playoffs is about who stays healthy and who gets hot. You know, are you playing well at the right time? Do you have multiple guys step up in key games, make shots? And do you have good health? And, you know, you see it every year in every series. And so there's a little bit of luck involved, you know, and we, like I said, we've been on both sides of that. And it's just...
He doesn't believe that. He thinks they could have run the table, and then he was just trying to be polite at the end. That's my read on that.
Oh,
Fair.
100%.
Fair to you, Steve.
Yeah, I mean he's seen it 9 times. Like he knows what it looks like, and part of what he's trying to say is you can't guarantee that it was going to happen, but in his heart of hearts, he thought that it was right there for him, especially with the way everything is breaking. It sucks, man. That I saw that quote earlier, just a little snippet of it. Is saying I knew they had it, or I know that we could have done it, but hearing him say it, that's an entirely different amount of pain.
Let's pay one more bill and let's get to the Mexicans.
Let's do it. All right.
Please do
podcast. Lightyear's podcast. We are brought to you by Via. It's going to be
there's ever a Via night, by the way.
Surfside and Via tonight. If you haven't tried Via yet, you're seriously missing out. Whether you need to unwind, refocus, or just pretend you have your life together, Via is here to enhance your everyday. Let's be honest, probably your night too. Trusted by over 500,000 happy customers, Via is changing the game in natural wellness, blending powerful, high-quality hemp-derived ingredients to deliver real, effect-driven benefits. Whether, again, you're looking to sleep better, have better libido, improve focus, recover, or simply relax, Via has a solution tailored just for you. And the best part, Via ships legally across the U.S. Discreet, direct to your door, no medical card required, and backed by a worry-free guarantee. So if you're 21 plus, check out the link to Via in our description and use the code LIGHTYEARS to receive 15% off, free shipping on orders over 100. And if you're new to Via, you get a gift free of choice. After you purchase, just tell them where you heard about them, and that's the best way to support our show. Enhance your everyday with Via.
Definitely order some Via, people.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go with the power hour here.
Oh boy.
Got a lot of people trying to come through.
Mikas,
you got 60 seconds. That's it.
Yeah, okay. You know, me and Mayor were counting on a little win tonight. That would have been our Via. Unfortunately, no Via for the two of us. I was optimistic. I was optimistic after game 1. I was optimistic after game 2. I was optimistic after game 3. And I was optimistic after game 4 because...
Oh no.
Oh no.
Lost Mikas.
His Wi-Fi's cutting out.
He had a whole poem for us.
I know.
I'm
All
here.
right, Mikas.
I'm here.
Keep going.
Like
You're optimistic after game 4.
Yeah, I was optimistic after game 4, and I really thought they were going to win tonight, and I thought he was going to come back, and they were going to win game 6 and game 7. It's tough. I made some of my closest relationships in my life watching this team from 2014, 2015 on. Like the roommate, he's going to be the best man at my wedding. We watched every playoff game since 2014. Girl of my, I mean, I wish we had kids already because our kids are not going to be able to see Steph Curry play. Like it's not going to happen because we don't have kids yet. But like they are They're going to miss out on watching the best basketball player I'm ever going to see in my fucking life. Like, ever going to see in my life. They're going to be raised Warriors fans, and they're going to root for whatever dumbass fucking pick that Joe Lacob makes. I know they are, but they're going to miss out on watching, like, even as a 2-year-old. They're not even going to get to see as a 2-year-old, like, watch Steph Curry look at the TV screen. Like, they're not going to see it, and it sucks. But I have made so many important relationships. Steph Curry, this should be a wax poetic night over that man, because he is the greatest. He is the greatest athlete, I think, of our lifetimes, and I don't know. This was tough, and this was almost more annoying than 2019, and this was certainly more annoying than 2023. 2023, there was, tension, there was, roster issues. 2019, they were giants, and, people's bones were just snapping like left and right, ligaments were tearing. Uh I thought they could have had one. I thought they had one for him, and it's tough because I think they could have won it all. I felt like they had it in them, and I thought that the back half of the this is so somber. I'm so sorry, guys. I should be coming on
Oh,
screen.
let it out. Let it out.
I was getting into fights with like Roosh on Twitter, being like Rockets fans should like be in like they deserve the Black Plague. Like that's what I was like doing right after the game finished. I was like, you guys should have been in the plague in like the 1930s or the 1390s. I was like, Black Plague should have been on your families, but like. Now that I'm here, I'm just like this blows, because we watch these guys. We wake up every day to watch these dudes hoop, and they are fucking unbelievable. And this Wolves team wasn't even that fucking good. I don't know. My only question is, guys, why are we, if we're not now, it's done, and the season, I mean, I think we can trade for Giannis. I do really genuinely believe we can trade for Giannis.
Later, Mikas.
No. Give me one last. Let me ask one last thing. Who are we rooting for to win the whole title? Because why is it not the New York Knicks? Why is it not the New York Knicks? Why is it not the New York
Pacers,
Knicks?
buddy.
No.
We are rooting for the trade machine Warriors.
Yes, we are.
No. Because if we root for the Pacers, they won't trade anybody to us. The Pacers need to lose. They need to get swept by the Knicks.
Hey, brother, I've given up the Miles Turner dream. I've given up the Siakam one hurt. The Siakam one hurt.
After the way Draymond talked to Cat, and Draymond's my guy. I would love to see Cat beat the fucking Wolves. Like, beat the team that beat us and let Cat fucking be zesty as fuck, cringe all over that fucking Wolves court.
I can't.
Beat the fuck out of him.
I got to ride with Draymond.
Go Brunson. Go Brunson. Go Brunson. Go Knicks, baby. I'm in New York.
Enjoy the city. I would feel the same way if I was there with you. But unfortunately, I have to go
All
with
love,
my guy,
boys.
Hallie.
Thank you, Mikas.
For me, I've liked the Pacers for a while, but if you want to go, what team helps the agenda the most?
Oh yeah.
The volume of people who would laugh at the idea that Siakam could help the Warriors. That why would you take Halliburton? Did you see Wiseman? Miles Turner? Oh, whatever. Blah, blah. Like the volume, like the agenda would be in full bloom. The Pacers win.
Yeah,
the agenda's already in full bloom with 2 Eastern Conference Finals, to be clear.
Yeah, give me either Eastern team, honestly. But I think I'm gonna shift to Pacers fandom. I just think they've built their team the right way. They drafted well. They made smart.
They're fun as hell to watch.
They're super fun to watch. They play incredibly fast. They don't just pointlessly spam threes. Like, they are trying to generate good shots down the floor, no matter what it looks like. It's not just about let's find the first three and chuck. That obviously the Siakam trade was a stroke of genius. Trading for Halliburton, stroke of genius. Like, they've made so many smart moves. If anybody deserves to win a title, I think it's they've just built it correctly, man. And they're not just trying to math ball the hell out of basketball. They're trying to actually, in my opinion, they play basketball the way I want to see it played.
Also, respect to Denver. I don't know if Denver's going to get there, but I wouldn't be upset with them. But Jokic is
incredible.
One of the very few players who I'm just like, damn, that guy's really, really special.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be too upset. All right, we got someone up here. I've had him on mute for way too long. What's up, man?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah,
you can.
Well, just want to start with at least how bad we were, pre-Jimmy trade, straight mid. Like, how many post-game conferences we had to watch Steph try to suck it up and pretend like, he's still on board. Like, never seen him like that. It was straight abusive relationship being a fan. So came from that, and now like back in the playoffs, actually have hope, a reason to believe. It's not just straight delusion anymore. You know, you're in the office, you have these armchair, like couch chair coaches, old dudes having some crazy takes. You see people walking their dog, you like yell at them like "Go Dubs!" They're wearing Warriors gear. Like you see people in the grocery store, like they're just the spirit in the community. Like it's
I
not
will say
it's
this is a great point. I got
mhm.
a lot of texts from friends locally. I see a lot of enthusiasm locally with this Warriors run. There was a lot of we thought they were cooked, and now they're
Yeah,
not. And I'm pretty excited to see if Steph has one more in him. Just
exactly.
among the I'm not on Twitter all day crowd.
Yeah, exactly. Like not straight, I'm down for this abusive relationship. Like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. So with that being said, like just how juiced Steph is to like finally be back and have a real shot at like not just meaningful basketball, but like having his eyesight's on the finals. So one, like how juiced up do you think he's gonna be like for next season? Like he actually has a real work ethic. Like they say, somebody you don't want to make mad is like Luca. Oh, he'll come back like with, he'll come back stronger. Like now, Steph will actually put in the work. And like, how juiced up will you think he'll be for the next season? And how bad do you think his thumb like actually is?
Ooh.
That's it.
It's so funny. No one even mentions the thumb. Like it's his shooting hand, and you see pictures of it. The thing looks deformed. And because he's so good at shooting, nobody's willing to even be like, I don't know, man. His hand's kind of messed up.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw out other players, but if it was other players, we'd be hearing about it a
Oh,
lot more
Cast
if it
on the
often.
was the
podium,
king,
baby. Cast on the podium.
if it was the
um,
king.
I'm with you. I actually think, look, let's be upset tonight. Let's be somber, whatever it is. I think he's hyped. I think he knows that he's got the makings of a squad. I think they're going to attack free agency strongly. There's always a chance they make the splashy move, but I think it's probably like I just always bet against it at this point. Like, you know,
Mhm.
uh, KD aside, odds are if a star comes available, they're probably not going to get him. But I think they're going to go all in on this team in the offseason. I'm pretty excited, and I think because Jimmy, and Draymond work so well, they don't need that much just to like
No.
put together something that is going to put them comfortably outside of the play-in, which is really what they need. They need to enter the playoffs
Yep.
4 seed and above, or really just 6 seed and above, but 4 seed preferable.
It feels like there's just a real plan and real direction, where it felt directionless the last couple off seasons. Even after 2022, it felt like directionless. Like we're just leaning into 19-year-olds isn't a direction after you win a championship. I'm sorry. But it feels like, okay, tweak here, tweak there, maybe take some of the scoring burden off of Jimmy, get some more size, like get another number 2 style scorer, number 2, number 3, get some more size, and you're right back in this thing. And you got a really good chance to win it next year. The West is going to be better probably. But as we see, injuries affect stuff every year. So you just give yourself a chance. And if you stay healthy, I think they will have a chance next year if they can stay reasonably healthy.
Appreciate you, brother. Yeah. I think somber tonight, but not a reason to think it's all over.
No.
And it's probably going to take me a couple days to get there mentally, but it's fine. It's fine. We'll let everyone get it out. We'll get everyone get out. All right, my guy Francisco. What's up, man?
Yo.
Hey, man, I had to stay up late for to end the season of course, because every single season the mood, of course, it's not happy. There's a way out of this because this year the front office finally did something. Okay, uh, I I'm I'm one of, I don't know if one of the few, but I wanted Wiggins to stay. But of course, to get Jimmy, you had to give up Wiggins. The problem is you didn't move Kuminga in the past. That's why it cost you a useful player in Wiggins. But to get Jimmy, You had to do it, and it was the right move. It was proved in the last games of the season in the playoffs. Okay, they could not beat the Rockets with the team they had. Well, they wouldn't be in that place
I
anyway.
agree.
They would have lost in the play-in, but I don't know. We kid around. You say Miles Turner, of course, he was a joke back in the day. But you do need someone big to play alongside Draymond and someone that can shoot. Okay, because if you put a big, you proved it playing. Imagine playing Looney alongside him.
No, I agree with you. You need
Yeah.
someone who can shoot. So
Yep.
I'm excited to get to it. I actually think if we really want to go down this path, and I'm not going to get into it too much right now, but think
Of
about
course,
it.
not
The
today.
players that they're going to need to start looking at are players on teams who are going the opposite direction.
Hmm.
Can you find the PJ Washington who's sitting on a Charlotte,
Yep.
who,
Hmm.
that team's going nowhere, but you put them on a
But
good team.
and
That's a piece.
you do need someone from those kinds of teams, because those are the teams that are gonna sign and trade with you. Someone.
Yeah,
Uh,
they're gonna actually sell. They're
but
gonna actually.
let me just put a somber mood here, okay? Because for you to sign and trade someone, you might have to sign Kuminga and live with him for 6 months, and have a toxic relationship again with him and with the fans, and this all. But uh, there's a way out of it, because they saw they can play like this, but you can't play Draymond at the 5, Jimmy at the 4 every single game, because that's what ended their season.
Yeah.
Okay, those last 25 games, having them play everything, and then the Rockets series, having to play 7 games of that style of basketball with
Yeah.
those players, it it takes a toll. And uh, if Steph was here, they could have won. They would have. Let's say they would have won. But it takes a toll, and then you get to the next round, and every 2 days having to play like this, it's hard.
Appreciate
So
you.
you need the offseason. Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Thanks, Francisco.
Francisco.
Thank you.
Have a great one, man. Yeah, it's a lot to get to. I don't even know how else to put it. It's frustrating. Oh no, we got a Goonie Mario moves to the front of the line based on name alone. Show your face. Maybe don't. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to see it.
Is he up on stage? I don't see anybody up on stage.
Nah, I just invited. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
What's going on? Hey, first time caller, long time listener.
Love the stats, brother.
First fucking time calling, because Sam, I think you said something that really just was eye-opening, ear-opening. We talk about Steph being the best ever, and then a lot of people talk about Steph being, oh, he doesn't have the defense. But what you said earlier was Steph's offense makes them so tired on defense that they're different and they don't have it anymore. So, and he's still, we don't even understand how good he is, because when he's there, he's there and everybody pays attention to him. And now we're seeing when he's not there, their offense just goes off because they're rested. They don't give a crap about anything else. And we're seeing this in real time of like, oh, the Warriors without Steph, even if you don't think that he gets the steals, you don't think that he's on point, he is contributing to how bad they are on offense on the other side. And that's what just happened in this series. And we just couldn't overcome that.
And I think it's the starkest it's ever been. I think you could see the difference. Like Minnesota shot the cover off the ball the last 2 games because they weren't chasing Steph on the other end.
They didn't seem tired at all. Randall was doing all of his stuff, and good for him and good for Ant. They're great. But when Steph is there, they're not doing that. They're not doing that
I just
at
feel
all.
like trying to even minimize basketball to a game where we're comparing skills as if all skills are equal is so dumb. Like, it's a very fluid game. Is anyone going to say Steph is as all around as like Kawhi Leonard? No,
No.
because Kawhi does more things if in an individual sense than Steph. But like, who's the better player? It's not even a question because one guy actually impacts the game in an outsized way in the things he does more so than the other guy. So it's like that's one of the things that really annoys me when people are like, "Oh, is he the better all-around player? What about his one-on-one defense?" Like, who gives a fuck about his one-on-one defense? Look at the lineups you can put around him. You can literally put 4 guys who can't dribble with their offhand around Steph. And it works.
You
You
see
can
all
put-
those clips of everybody after playing Steph, and they're all like, "Oh,
Yeah.
they're just destroyed. They can't play defense anymore. They're only focused on Steph. And when Steph is out, they don't care about anybody else." And I saw that like for the past couple of games with Jimmy, with Dre, because they knew, hey, we don't have the same defense without Steph because these guys aren't tired anymore.
Warriors tried to run like more traditional offense after they got Steph out of there, and they looked ordinary as hell. And all the fake comebacks that we saw in it, like they were the fakest of the fake. They were just, I don't know, man. They're not going to beat the Wolves at the Wolves game. They're not good enough. Like it's not even close.
No, this is Steph, man, and we're realizing. And there's other like podcasts and people that talk about, oh, Steph's top 10 or top 15. No. We're talking about Steph top 3, top 5 of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And this, even though we didn't go there, this proves it. This team is nothing, and everybody was scared of this team with Steph, and now it's nothing. Okay, Steph would have destroyed this Minnesota's team. That would have happened. We would have been easily going to the next round, and with everybody else on the East gone, we would have been saying, "Oh, this can happen again." But with Steph out, we're gone.
I mean, think of how deflating it
Appreciate
was.
you, man.
Think about how deflating
Great
it
one.
was when the Wolves just kept hitting threes. Like we didn't get any of that on the other end. And think of how much easier it is to set your defense when you actually make shots. You know, that like you're saying.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, Like, but I think it's a great point. Like, it is so fluid. Like, the offense affects the defense so much, and vice versa. You can't really detach the two. And so, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like it's trying to compare it to baseball or to football or something. It's like you just can't. Like, it's not the same thing. Like Tatis doesn't like hit and then like fluidly move to pitching the next possession. You know, like it's not a comparison that way, you know? So Seb, what's up, man?
Well, speaking of baseball, I literally just got here, so I apologize if I repeat anything that's been said before. But I didn't watch the game tonight. I literally just got home from a Dodger game. So that was
Go Blue.
Shut up, Tommy. It's going to be even more awkward because they were playing the A's. But yeah, but I'm like watching. I'm watching highlights.
I just looked at the score. Oh, rough. Okay.
Yeah. It was Star Wars night. I got a cool little Death Star bobblehead. Anyway, but I'm watching like highlights. I'm reading some of the Twitter reactions. Houston Rockets fans, learn some fucking self-respect. My God. But I apologize. So I apologize if I repeat something that's been said here. But my opinion of this once Steph went down was that I'm relatively at peace, and I was at peace if they lost this series. I'd be at peace anyway, mostly just because I think Anthony Edwards is that dude, and to hear him talk this series about what Steph and Steve instilled in him. I mean, Steve since Ant got to the league, and Steph and both of them over the summer. It's like I think those two created a monster, and like it was only a matter of time, really. And if they were going to lose to anyone, I mean, obviously, it sucks that it had to be without Steph. And yeah, I do believe 100% they win the series if Steph is good. But Ant has been killing gods his whole career, and he didn't kill this one yet. But like, I really do think it was a matter of time because that kid is the legitimate future of the league. And like sometimes when it's your time, it's good to lose to a good one.
But we didn't lose to a good one.
That's true.
Give me this same series 12 months from now.
Oh, 100%.
I do agree with
right
your overall point. Like, because Ant to me is just pure. Like,
yeah,
he represents the the things I value. Like he's just competitive as hell.
Yeah,
It's not that
everything
he's a
about
it's not that he's perfect as a player. It's just like he's about all the right things.
Mhm.
He's out there trying to fucking murder you instead of like out there trying to look cool, which is really all I want out of a player.
yeah, like he's everything about his on court stuff is he does he does it the right way. You know, he saw.
All right, that's enough out of you.
Okay, all right.
Have a great night, buddy. So we're not going there tonight. All right, let's get to.
Is there a mini Ant Edwards running around Paris, France right now?
It's not my problem. Is he Jordan's child?
You might be.
Sometimes those side by side photos really get with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's up, man?
You're coming in clear.
What's up, boys? Okay, this is gonna sound totally off topic at first, but I promise it'll relate. So I've been watching all this stuff with Tatum's injury and all that stuff's just like super depressing. I think like what it made me think about is like the Celtics obviously had like KG, Paul Pierce, like back in the day, and they rebuilt and everything went perfectly right for them. And like this still happened, right? Like their future is looking bleak. And this is what annoys me, the whole two timelines thing is like we could rebuild perfectly. Everything could go like totally right, and something could still go wrong. And we're not even close to where the Celtics are at. So like I'm definitely like a let's trade everyone in the offseason kind of guy. So I don't know what the deal is on the camera. That's like the first thing that was the two timelines. And the other thing is just want to kind of talk Steph appreciation here. Like the Celtics won 1, and we were talking about them winning like 2, 3. And that's not going to happen. Steph won 4, and not just that. I don't. This is kind of a hot take, but I don't think anyone in the NBA right now is even going to get to 3. Maybe Ant. Like I don't think Giannis is going to get to 3. Joker maybe. I think maybe Joker, Giannis don't even get to 2. And like Steph has 4. And I think that's something like I think it's really easy to be like kind of pissed about the season, and I am too. But yeah, like how long until we get another guy who's this good in the league who has 4 chips?
I mean, LeBron fucking has switched teams and stacked teams for 15 years, and he can't get more than 4. So I think your point stands.
Yeah.
LeBron only has 1. 3 of those are fake, but you know.
Correct.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Like I could see Jokic winning this year or next year with this current group, but I don't feel like the group he has much left in it. And then you just don't know where it goes from there. It takes. Yeah, I think you're right. Like who's getting to 3? You know, who's it going to be? The league's competitive, and then you need. I know you need the right franchise and the right front office and the right confluence of moves around him, but you also need the right guy who has kind of that even keeled like leadership and approach to like withstand, because we know how it goes. Like you see everyone who wins a title the next year, disease and more hits. Someone thinks they're the man. Someone thinks something else is going on. Like it's not just a talent thing. It's a perseverance thing on a human level. And yeah, I see people throwing CBA in the chat, but like, I'm with you. I don't know if I can think of one, honestly.
Yeah. I'll say one thing for sure. Nobody's going to get 4 with one team for the next like 40 years. That maybe 4. Yeah, I'm going to call it right now. 40 years, no one's going to get 4 with one team.
Yeah, the league's just not set up structurally to do it. It just isn't. I mean, if you were gonna bet on one guy, it'd be Jokic probably, but then like I don't know, maybe Ant, but like none of that even feels remotely possible. Yeah, Wemby, I guess.
The Spurs are in a position where if they do not rip off an extended run because they don't just have him, they have like every asset on earth to like put the team around him. It'll be a disappointment, but yeah, even to your point, like I mean, he's already missing time, like the blood clots. Yeah. Like you don't know if he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
So, appreciate you, man. Have a great evening. Let's get one more person up here and
Let's
call
do
it
it.
a night. Yishan, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? I was just calling in. Wasted some time watching that game today, but um, I don't know. It's pretty disappointing to see that like a lot of other teams can pull out a win without their best player. You know, like I know the Celtics aren't a good example because you know they got all stars on all stars on all stars, but that was I got a little bit of hope watching Celtics today. I was like, man, maybe we can do something like that and rally around our troops, but we couldn't. Kind of looking forward, it was kind of weird this series to see. I know he struggles with this archetype of player like Julius Randle, but I didn't really feel that Draymond guarded him well. I'm gonna be honest, like I didn't feel that at all, and I'm kind of seeing Dre's mortality, or maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe it's just a bad matchup. I don't know, but I saw him play well against Şengün, so like there's something there. But wanted to ask a question, like like there's rumors about Giannis or whatever other players that are available. If the right deal is there, would and the biggest contract we have that we could trade probably is Draymond. Like, what would our defense look like? Would you guys do it? Like, are you guys even going there? Like, what do you guys think?
Well, it'd be Jimmy is our second biggest contract after Steph. So that would probably
Right,
be the
but
first.
like,
That'd be the first one you would
I
move if you're gonna move Draymond. I mean, if it's for Giannis, yeah, sorry, love you, Draymond. But
I think Steph would be the one to call Draymond and be like, "Sorry, buddy, but it's happening."
yeah,
But
exactly.
like that's like such a once in a lifetime. I think it's much more interesting when you get down to more realistic moves. Like, are you
yeah,
willing to let go of him? And I think my bar for moving him still probably higher than the consensus. I'm not reading too much into the end here. I think what we saw with Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond together with the right pieces around them, I still believe in it. I really do. I would, if they lost this way with Steph on the floor, then I would be like, all right, it's probably time to consider those things. But that's not what happened. What happened is he got a slight hamstring strain, and their offense got exposed. And then it was just a matter of time before the defense let out too, because you can really only defend so long when you can't score the ball. Like they got 2 games there where the defense was pretty good, but they couldn't score the ball. And then eventually the reality happens. When everyone knows you can't score the ball, the other team's just going to get more confident on that end. So I don't view it as it's time to move on from the old guy with him or Jimmy. I view it more as they need to view next year through the lens of we're winning next year, not 3 years down the line or 5 years down the line. And I don't think they need to trade Draymond, but I'm not opposed to it if it makes sense basketball wise. But to your point, how many guys can replace him on defense? Like the list is very short. So I just keep coming back to this thing where it's like, yeah, you could say you're willing to move him, but when you start getting into the practical aspect of it, like, again, it's like, yes, if it's Giannis or Anthony Davis, sure. But after that, it's not a lot of realistic options.
I guess like I was talking to my friend, he's a Bucks fan, and I was like, like, what are you guys looking for? And like, I was like, yeah, like I want like I've always wanted Giannis, everyone does, but like I was like, oh, like Jimmy, and he's like, nah, bro, like we wouldn't want Jimmy, like that he's an old dude. We want young players, and like I guess that's not a good deal, and I'm sure other teams want young players. So like I don't know if Jimmy's like a tradable. Like I don't want to say not tradable, but he's not as coveted as we might think he is at right now with the $60 million contract that we gave him. I guess another thing I wanted to ask before you guys head out is like, maybe you guys touched on this. I'm just joining, but are you concerned about Jimmy's lack of aggression in terms of like, like as a second star and as the first option, $60 million, like taking that many shots 2 games in a row? Like, do you think that's something that we're just gonna have to get used to? Because I felt like that was kind of frustrating to watch, because I would rather watch Jimmy take 20, 30 shots than, like Jonathan Kuminga threes or Pods threes or Buddy Hield contested threes. Are you guys concerned about that going forward and playing the game the right way or whatever he says?
No. I mean, I think he was genuinely injured, and this is going to sound like I'm making excuses, and some of it is I am, because I've always been a Jimmy guy. I think he's genuinely injured. I don't think he had the downhill force that he needed to really create shots like he wants to. And I just think the roster around him wasn't great. But all that being said, I would like to see them get another guy who can really reliably score. So he doesn't have to do that. Like, I would love to see another kind of like wingish or like bigger guard type of player who can really go score the basketball, or if it's like a big
Walter
shooting
Clayton.
wing. Oh,
Zero
okay.
chance.
Did you guys think that did you guys think he looked kind of small compared to like Jaden McDaniels and Julius Randle? Like,
yeah, he's smaller than those guys. But get a roster where you can play him at the 3 and he doesn't have to play the 4. And the same with Draymond. Get a roster where he can play the 4 and he doesn't have to play the 5, so he doesn't look dead tired by the end of an 82-game season plus playoffs. You know, give them more of a backbone and more support so they don't have to play up the totem pole in the positional size, and they probably won't look exhausted.
I'll also say this on Jimmy. He's probably overpaid. He probably should not be on the supermax level of contract. He's probably like, not to get into it, but he's probably more of the $40 million max guy, not the $60 million max guy. With that said, you saw what it looked like when it was Wiggins in his place. Like, the things Jimmy does are star level. Like, playmaking as a 6'7" wing, quarterbacking a defense, like, he is great at those things. He is a guy who probably wants to score 18 to 20 more than he wants to score 28 to 40, you know? But he's a guy who's might get you a triple-double out of it too. There's a little duplicity with like him and Draymond because they both kind of want to do the same thing offensively, but he's a little more of a scorer. But I will say this, nobody was complaining about his impact when he played next to Steph, because Steph is like a bona fide number 1. And he knows how to play off of that guy. And the way I see it is there are more talented scorers than him. They would not have made the Warriors better. Like, Zach LaVine is a more talented scorer. Julius Randle might even be a more talented scorer. They do not do all the things Jimmy does to improve your teammates. I guess it's pointless without Steph, or really it's just pointless without more spacing and with a bum ass, you know? So I think the reality is he's probably a number 2 getting paid number 1 money.
Yeah.
If you put the money behind you, because it's not my money, and Joey, I know you're charging enough that you can afford it at the Chase Center. I think it's okay. I think the reality is it is what it is, and you know, I wasn't under the illusion that we were getting a guy who is gonna like ISO and wiggle on people. Like, I know what Jimmy's game is.
Mm-hmm. And the reality is also that all number 2s do get paid like number 1s in the NBA. Essentially, your top 2 guys are always on a max or a near max contract. So it's just kind of like part of the deal. You kind of just have to swallow it and work with it. But yeah, I mean, there are
like, in a reality, like if it was truly egalitarian, Steph would be making 100 and Jimmy would be getting like 35. But that's not how it works, you know?
Right.
So
exactly. So like, I think there's things they need to do to put him in better positions, put the rest of the roster in better positions to like really win a championship next year. But overall, unless Jimmy has some precipitous drop off from where he was, and I keep going back to the guy at the end of the regular season that got to start the playoffs and the play-in, unless there's like a precipitous drop off from like that ceiling he can reach that he can tap into when he's fully healthy, then I'm not really too worried about him.
Let's pray for better spacing. I see you guys.
Yeah, I think beyond like exploring the star acquisition, my number 1 want on this team is spacing, and ideally with size. Like Cam, it's just hard to like look at this team and just be like, Cam Johnson's not the perfect, not just perfect, but perfect attainable option, right? Because like, you know, Lauri Markkanen is also perfect for this team, but they don't have the contracts to match him without giving up one of the core guys, and we already saw Danny Ainge and that sort of thing. Cam Johnson being a $20 million player, now it's hard to find a better one, you know?
Yeah. We will get there, man. We will discuss all of it, I'm sure, over the next couple months.
I'm going to end it here. I appreciate everyone who's tried to call in. I appreciate everyone who's been in the chat. I appreciate everyone's support all year. Nothing's changing. We'll be back on the show. We'll be doing this on the regular, just different cadence. Everyone, have a Surfside. Enjoy your evening.
Appreciate all you guys.